Season 2.
Welcome to Rage Against the Mainstream, your full spectrum source for all things music, insight, and opinion. My name is Bill, and I'm joined here today with Steve.
Yo.
So what's up, buddy?
What's up, man?
For those of you listening, right now we do not have your third favorite co-host, Connor.
Yeah.
I don't know where he's at today.
He said he was getting involved with some NASA program.
Oh, he's going to the
They
moon?
talked about, there was a State of the Union address a little while ago, and they were talking about having an American be the first person on Mars, so Connor signed up. He wants to be the first person on Mars.
I mean, maybe he's up there to, put the Rage Against the Mainstream flag.
That's pretty much,
like almost like the moon landing. They put the United States flag up there.
Yeah, he was going to bring an RATM podcast flag stuffed under his, spacesuit. So when he was going to land out the American flag, he was going to pull a flim flam on him. Yeah, the old flim flam. Yeah.
Well, Godspeed to Connor.
Godspeed, Connor.
So I would like to ask you if you had anything new or interesting this week, but me and you kind of have the same
exact
consensus
thing.
and the same new and interesting.
Yep.
For what we are referring to is if you're listening to this podcast and you haven't heard it yet, then there's probably an issue with you. The new Lamb of God single, Checkmate.
Off the self-title that'll be releasing in May.
Yeah. So first initial reaction, what did you think?
It's funny because my first initial reaction, I'm a little bit of a bias when it comes to like Chris Adler, Lamb of God. I think Ashes of the Wake is one of those albums that's undeniably good. It blends thrash, death. It has like a core vibe, so it appeals to that crowd as well as people like me that's more traditional. Like Lamb of God is just one of those bands where almost anybody who's like an elitist to core fans that can just genuinely agree that it's just great music.
Now, I think that Lamb of God even transcends the point where even if you're not even into the core or even the heavier shit, like if you're just a general rock music fan, chances are you know a Lamb of God
because
song.
It's just the guitar work, even the drumming now with Art Cruz is even still good. My opinion, like with this song specific, it doesn't have that real unique Chris Adler sound, but it's good enough where it fits that like Mark Morton's guitar work is just unbelievable. And Randy Blythe, obviously, he's still putting out the same type of aggression. Just sounds awesome. And it's funny because the first time I heard the song, I was like, and I listened to it because it's the only one on there.
Yeah.
So sometimes when it's like my phone's in my pocket and it's done, I'll just press play again just to repeat it instead of going searching for a new song. So I listened to that song at one point like 5 times in a row. And I was like, all right, well, I really want to hear this fucking album.
There's definitely like a sense of unity within like them now with Art Cruz. I mean, he has been in the band for like almost 4 years.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And he was also touring with Mark Morton.
Well, actually, I don't know if
he was the drummer.
4 years because Chris Adler did the Burn the Priest recording when they were in the middle of the hiatus, that Legion XX album that was all covers. Chris Adler was a part of that.
Okay, well, Art Cruz took over right after Chris broke his collarbone or shoulder or whatever it was.
Took over on tour.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's been in there for a while. You could definitely tell that they're like a collective unit. I mean, as far as the Chris Adler aspect, it's always going to be missed because I don't feel like there's any drummer currently now in the scene that's able to do the shit that he does.
Yeah.
Or not even do the shit that he does. Because it's all like rudiments and stuff.
Yeah.
But the fact of like how much of like a machine this fucking guy is.
It's just especially in like the metal and extreme metal, I guess you could say, that it'll incorporate death, black, thrash, all those types of. Chris Adler is one of those guys where it's you can hear someone's guitar tone and know it's them. Chris Adler really defines himself out of that scene because you could listen to like Behemoth, Old Man's Child. You can listen to all these types of bands with like really extreme drumming, Dark Funeral, but you can't really define like, all right, if he played on a different album, that drummer doesn't sound unique enough to know.
Exactly.
But Chris Adler's drumming is just
honestly, I can only think of like 4 drummers right now off the top of my head where you can know that it's them. One is Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
Because he's just like that power hitter drummer kind of guy.
Yeah.
The second is Sean Kinney from Alice in Chains, because I feel like his style is so unique that there's no one that plays like him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Matt Cameron, maybe.
Yeah.
But Matt Cameron's kind of like a blend of those two.
Yeah, and if you go back even earlier, like Keith Moon had a very unique style, like John Bonham. I mean, a lot of those guys, but like, even if so, like you see some of the drummers you've named, they play in a genre where it's easier for them to separate themselves. Like that extreme metal genre. I mean, other than Dave Lombardo,
the other one's Gene Hoglan.
Well, Gene Hoglan.
You can tell it's him.
He's probably the only one I could say stands out to that genre. That's like, okay, you know, that's Gene Hoglan. Gene
Hoglan, and then Chris Adler.
Yeah,
I mean that's the thing.
Dave Lombardo too.
Dave Lombardo, yes. Yeah. But like, there's just something with Chris Adler. I mean, I'm not saying by any means that this song is like suffering because he's not in it.
Yeah, I think it's still well done.
It could have been like way better if he was in it.
And the guitar riffs in this song are so
it's cool.
Fucking cool. And I even thought to myself, like, damn, like Chris would have tore this shit.
He would have fucking destroyed it.
Yeah.
But I mean, all in all, I feel like it was a good song. I'm excited to hear what the rest of the album's going to look like.
I'm definitely excited for the album.
I mean, it was like me and you were talking before, you know. Like, you don't base the album off the first single because the first single is usually the worst song.
Yeah, and Lamb of
God World.
Yeah, they usually release, like, if you go back at all their, bigger releases, we mentioned specifically Sacrament. Like, Redneck's probably the weakest song on that album overall compared to, like, technicality and just how much effort it seems as opposed to being, like, a radio-type song.
Exactly.
So, like, Lamb of God, and even, like, Ashes of the Wake, there's, like, 3 songs on there that, like, Lay the Rest was, like, their known song.
Exactly.
But, like, Hourglass, Faded Line.
Exactly. I feel like Laid to Rest is probably one of the weaker songs. Yeah. I mean, then again, that breakdown's like super iconic. Yeah,
like Blood of the Scribe, dude. But that's what I'm saying. That's like that bring you in song.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you listen to the rest of the album, it's just unrelenting.
Like, dude, Hourglass is fucking nasty.
Yeah, dude.
Like, Hourglass is probably my favorite Lamb of God song.
So good.
I love that song.
So good.
But anyways, if you guys haven't checked it out yet, the song is called Checkmate. And I believe it's streaming on all platforms and YouTube and
everywhere. They got
pretty much you type in Lamb of God, it's going to show up.
Yeah, it'll be the first thing.
And yeah, so that's our new and interesting for this week.
On this day in music history.
1963, the Rolling Stones get their first steady gig at London Station Hotel, performing on Sundays in the Crawdaddy Room for a grand total of $67 a week.
That's fucked up.
I mean, what is $67 a week, though, in 1963? You know what I mean? I mean, that's not horrible, but for what we know the Rolling Stones as now, that's a little fucked.
Humble beginnings.
Oh, yeah. And you can get your start here.
$67.
We may get you out there one day. You could be playing venues for $67.
Exactly. Do you want to be, you know, our what's the word I'm looking for here?
Diamond in the rough.
Diamond in the rough. Are you looking to have a residency on Radiancy?
Yeah, like how you know that one of the douchebags that plays Madison Square Garden all the time.
Yeah,
you can come on here. We'll put your music out there. 1969, Jimi Hendrix Experience play their final UK concert at London's Royal Albert Hall. You know, it's funny. Royal Albert Hall seems to be like the venue for like aging, ending like rock experiences. Like Cream played there.
Yeah,
that was like their ending. You know.
Well, what's the Royal Albert Hall is probably the equivalent to like what, like the Trocadero here, the Electric Factory here. Like it's not like super huge.
Yeah, but it's still like
maybe the Fillmore.
It's still like orchestra venue. It's not like a standing type setup.
Maybe like Union Transfer.
Give or take. I would almost say it's almost like just a smaller indoor arena. I mean, the sense of like the Wells Fargo Center, just with less seating.
Okay.
It's more exclusive in that sense. I mean, it's Royal Albert Hall. I mean, it's probably fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
1985, David Crosby escapes from the Fair Oaks Hospital in New Jersey, where he has been sentenced to drug rehab. The next day, he is caught in Greenwich Village and arrested for cocaine possession.
Damn.
Yeah, it's funny because there's actually a documentary my buddy watched on David Gilmour.
Oh, okay.
And it's funny to know, or not David Gilmour, David Crosby. David Crosby, it's funny because I was listening to like Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and I didn't realize like how fucked up he was.
Yeah.
But like the entire documentary just surrounds David Crosby, and dude, he was...
Oh shit!
Yeah, he was like your regular like straight drug addict. And you think of some of the music that they play, you wouldn't think like David Crosby was like super.
Yeah,
fucked
right.
Up. Yeah, but he was pretty fucked up. 1992, Kurt Cobain of Nirvana and Courtney Love of Hole are married in Hawaii with a non-denominational female minister conducting the ceremony. There's a fellow companion on the show who's not here today who probably have a lot to say about this moment. He would be like, "This is the downfall. This is when it started. This is the first line into the end of Kurt Cobain."
Shouldn't have done it. I wish I could go back in time and end this.
Yeah, this would be like if you had the opportunity to go back to 11/22/63 to prevent the JFK assassination.
Yeah.
This would be Connor's moment to go back in time.
No, this is like the scene in Back to the Future. Wait, I have a time machine. I can go back to whenever I want.
Connor's would be to go back to
February 24th, 1992.
Gotta stop this marriage. When they say, does anybody here have anything they'd like to say before these two be wed?
Here
All of a
comes
sudden,
Connor
they have
squealing
some
up the
random
DeLorean.
dude from the future. No! You don't understand what this is going to cause.
She's going to kill you.
You know, it'd be even funnier, though. Connor does that and then lives his whole life, and Kurt Cobain dies anyway. So it had nothing to do with Kurt Cobain. His whole life's work is just completely defeated.
In Utero never came out.
Yeah. Oh, Connor. I don't know where Connor be today. But definitely listen to more Neil Young. He wouldn't have anything else there. 1993, Eric Clapton wins big at the Grammy Awards. He's taking 3 awards for Tears in Heaven, 2 more for his album Unplugged, and Best Rock Song for his acoustic version of Layla.
Another person that Connor doesn't find appealing at all.
Yeah, which is weird because especially that Unplugged album, like it is super. It's just very well known to be a great album, but it is that good. Like,
it's regarded as one of the best Unplugged albums of all time,
and it is good.
I mean, dude, that acoustic version of Layla is insane.
It's excellent. Yeah, and he makes it like a swing dance type style. Like, it's just very well done.
Me on my knees. Yeah, dude,
it's
awesome.
Yeah, it is very good.
Clapton's the fucking dude. No one can say otherwise.
Yeah, Tears in Heaven was a great song
dude,
too.
Absolutely.
But that Unplugged album, yeah, Connor doesn't know what he's missing. 1995, Dave Matthews Band make their first appearance on national TV when they perform the hit "What Would You Say" on The Late Show with David Letterman.
What would you say? That's like the only Dave Matthews song I know.
Crash Into Me
Crash.
Or whatever that's called.
Yeah,
that's the other one.
It was in like Joe Dirt, I think. Too. Yeah. I'm
not a Dave Matthews guy.
Oh my god, my fucking sister posted some shit about her listening to like a Jack Johnson album or something on Facebook the other day, and I was like, I know I taught you better than that.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because like my stepsister, huge Dave Matthews follower.
Really?
Jack Johnson. That's not me.
Yeah,
not doing that. 1998. Pamela,
not on this episode, at least.
No, but that's the thing. It's not even in private. No. There's not even like a moment where it's like I'm sitting there like I'll just let this ride. I'm by myself. It's like no, like I'll listen.
Dave Matthews is one of those dudes where I just can't stand him.
Can't stand it.
Can't stand it.
Yeah. Like John Mayer is just like a better version of what that music could be.
Yeah, but the thing is with John Mayer is you actually know he could play his instrument.
That's what I'm saying.
Like he's an incredible guitar player. And it's just like, it's not his fault, I guess, per se, that he's a pop star because of his voice. But his blues shit's really good.
Yeah, he got suffered into that category.
Yeah. Dave Matthews ain't got shit.
Poor
douchebag.
1998, Pamela Anderson Lee calls 911 after getting in a heated altercation with her husband. We all know him as Tommy Lee from the extraordinary band Motley Crue. At their Malibu home, Tommy is arrested and spends 3 months in jail for spousal abuse.
Damn.
God, what a tough guy. 3 months in jail for being a douche.
I mean, then again, dude, like, it's like back to the whole like Katy Perry thing that we were talking about a while ago. Like, yeah, she's hot and everything, but we don't know what she's like behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this is Pamela Anderson, but we really don't know what she's like behind closed doors.
I mean,
maybe she's a fucking nut. I mean, I'm not going to agree with spousal abuse by any means, but I mean, how do we know that she wasn't like picking a fight?
Yeah, there isn't really. It just says heated altercation. I mean, the guy goes to 3 months for spousal abuse. So, I mean, to the extent of whatever the report may have been, probably said he laid hands on her, which we don't know the truth to that extent at this point in time. But Tommy Lee's still a douchebag, so I could give a fuck.
Giant douchebag.
Huge douche.
It's kind of like the fucking subpar drummers in bands are always like the douchebag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much the entire. It's funny. Mick Mars is probably the coolest one of Motley Crue as a person.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even Nikki Sixx was okay, but he's still a douche. They're all like,
yeah.
And Vince Neil, forget about it.
Did you see the thing online where he did, that thing called Cameo where you could pay like stars to like video chat and stuff? And, like,
yeah.
There's a viral one where someone just paid Vince Neil $400 to wish somebody a happy birthday, and he's like slurring his words and shit.
So we took a little pause there so I could actually watch this fucking FaceTime thing. They paid this guy $400.
$400.
Right? So Vince Neil got $400. He literally got a script that was maybe a paragraph to read.
Maybe.
Probably read half of it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It was cheesy.
It was very cheesy.
With a bunch of the Motley
Doesn't
Crue
matter.
references.
You're getting paid $400. Read the fucking He didn't even read the whole thing.
No.
And to set the tone, it looked like he was like on his balcony at some hotel, like he's been drinking mimosas all morning.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked like your stereotypical dad on vacation with his little bent brim hat, his sunglasses, his little scruffy gray beard. Motherfucker couldn't even read the whole paragraph. 4-0, shout devil
4-0, brother. Happy
I mean,
birthday.
that's so sad. Like, you're getting paid $400. I get your Vince Neil. Your ball's probably pretty much in his court at all times.
Yeah,
in those circumstances. But you can't even have like at least the minimal amount of respect to record a 30-second thing to just send to this guy. It's very sad. But then he'll keep going out there and pumping out shows that we're expected to pay tickets for. Like, you know,
like I said before on an earlier episode, I'd never pay money to see Motley Crue again.
Yeah, I don't even. Honestly, even if it said like, "Hey, these tickets are $1," it's like still that brutal of a show that it's like that's still paying $1 to have a bad time.
So you have $40 to buy a Motley Crue ticket or $40 to buy cheeseburgers.
In that case, yeah, we're going the cheeseburger alternative. Yeah, we'll call that. That's what we're going to call that. The old cheeseburger alternative. When we find a band that we can't stand, I'm taking the cheeseburger alternative.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's the new thing. Little truth tree right there. The cheeseburger alternative on Motley Crue. 1998, Elton John is knighted by Queen Elizabeth II, becoming, as we know him, Sir Elton John, during a ceremony at Buckingham Palace.
I'm surprised it took that long.
Yeah. Yeah, because he was huge in the 70s.
Huge. So mega superstar in the 70s.
Yeah, it's not like some like rock and roll Hall of Fame thing. Where
I guess maybe they had to wait until he was like old and like washed up and shit. Like
there's got to be
he wasn't going to be like crazy man.
Well, think about like Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
You know, how that took a pretty long time too for him to be knighted.
Yeah, but I think it might be because of like the whole like rock star thing. Like once you're knighted, I guess you have a certain level of like respect or, you know, like responsibility,
credibility
to not be like an asshole.
Yeah, and then you're
like that's probably why Ozzy's not Sir Ozzy.
Yeah, they couldn't have him being part of the royal constriction over there or whatever goes on. Sir Ozzy Osbourne.
Sir Ozzy.
Sir Ozzy, you can't be taking any more opiates. You got to stop using drugs and drinking. Oh, bloody hell. You take your night, shove it up your fucking ass. Yeah, he ain't doing all that.
Stick it up your ass.
1999, Lenny Kravitz wins his first Grammy when Fly Away is named Best Male Rock Vocal Performance. It's his first in 4 consecutive wins in the category, followed by American Woman, Again, and Dig In.
I don't remember Again or Dig In.
I remember Dig In.
Yeah, I'm not familiar, but I do know Fly Away and American Woman.
Yeah. Which is weird. I mean, American Woman is essentially cover, right?
It is a cover,
it's
100%. And I don't even think it was on one of his albums. I think it was just on the Austin Powers fucking Spy Who Shagged Me album. Yeah.
Oh wow, I think I got a Grammy for it. Whatever.
It was a good cover. I'll give it to him.
Yeah, it's all right. 2008, a statue of departed AC/DC lead singer Bon Scott is unveiled in his hometown of Fremantle, Australia. I already made this very clear. Bon Scott AC/DC is the only AC/DC I fuck with.
Yeah.
It's that good.
I mean, like I said, I do like the Brian Johnson shit too, but yeah, Bon Scott will ever be known as the, like me and Nicole were talking about the other day. I don't know how we got on the topic of AC/DC, but it was like AC/DC has like those songs that you'll always remember. Like you think about it, anyone in the world, you can probably walk up to anybody and just play like the first 2 notes of fucking Highway to Hell.
Or Back in Black.
Back in Black. I mean, they know it.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it.
Well, I think a lot of that's radio play too. You figure the songs that get radio play, Back in Black.
Yeah.
Highway to Hell. And it's funny because there's a lot of great Bon Scott songs that like don't get radio play the same way like songs off Back in Black get. You know
that's
what I mean?
True.
It's kind of sad. I mean, but that's just, I mean, Back in Black is that album.
Yeah.
It's literally
it was the album that came out at the perfect time.
Yeah.
Honestly, like if that album was any like older or newer than it was, it probably wouldn't have done what it did.
Yeah.
It was just a time.
Yeah. But it's a shame too because like AC/DC's trajectory, I don't think they would have been any less notable if Bon Scott lived. It's not like we were just talking about it. Like with Sid Barrett dying, Pink Floyd propelled because of David Gilmour and Roger Waters and what they did. Whereas, like, if Bon Scott lived, I don't think Brian Johnson, AC/DC not existing wouldn't have made AC/DC any less popular.
Exactly. I agree with that.
Yeah, because I think everything Bon Scott did had just the same quality and potential to be radio hits constantly. I mean, Highway to Hell, it's just, dude, you know it. Like,
everybody knows it. Dirty Deeds, TNT, come on.
And that's a lot of Angus, though, because Angus never really changed his
that's true.
Consistent riffs that he was putting out.
Like,
style.
Yeah, dude. If You Want Blood.
Oh, yeah.
Like, dude, that
Dirty Deeds.
Yeah, dude, all those fucking songs. We can go down the list of the Bon Scott songs.
Oh, yeah. 2019, Queen with Adam Lambert on vocals open the Oscars with a medley of We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. The biopic Bohemian Rhapsody goes on to win 4 awards, more than any other film at the ceremony.
Now, do you feel like that was just because of what it was, or do you feel like that movie was that good to where they deserved to get 4 Oscars?
We talk about perfect timing. I mean, this is a movie about a singer of one of the most notable bands in history.
Yep.
One of the best vocalists of anybody's time that's still alive to this point in, the world. But yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with timing because, again, it was like it focused around him being gay.
Yeah.
Obviously with the AIDS, and then obviously what's going on in this country today. So then you had that appeal factor, as well as just being able to have a biopic movie about such a really known band that hadn't been put out at this point in time. So I think it was a perfect storm. I think the movie was good.
Yeah, I still have yet to see it.
It's very good.
Yeah.
And Rami, what's his name? Rami
Malek.
Rami Malek. And it was Rami or Rami. Rami Malek, he plays Freddie very well.
Yeah.
Like, put it this way. I thought Rocket Man, because it had a shitload of musical concepts in it, where it just broke into musical all of a sudden. I thought Rocket Man was a better movie for the movie parts. I thought the acting was done. I thought it was more darker. I thought it was more sincere and just a well-done film. But there were so many musical parts in it that just made it, like, fucking annoying. And then Bohemian Rhapsody, I think it was like less of a quality film.
There was inaccuracies, right?
There were, but both of them though. But there always is in these, types of movies. But at the same exact time, just the cool thing about it was they narrowed in on just kind of like the rise of Queen briefly to kind of get the idea of like what they went through. How Bohemian Rhapsody was apparently never going to be a radio hit because it was so long, and little do they fucking know. And then it leads up to the Live Aid concert. Yeah, but I think it was good. I don't think it should have been so hailed as like this phenomenal movie to win all these awards. I think against the competition it made sense, and I think because of the time it made sense.
Now, Rage Against the Mainstream here, do you feel like Bohemian Rhapsody was as good as or better than Straight Outta Compton?
Overall, I think Straight Outta Compton was better.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because Straight Outta Compton was just...
Because I hail that as like probably one of the best music movies.
It is one of the best like biopics where it's not strictly documentary and actors portraying these people. I think the storyline of Queen, and that's even for me, like the storyline of Queen is more interesting. I'm a huge Queen fan.
Yeah.
But Straight Outta Compton was just a better movie. It was just more entertaining, and it's a true story to the extent of like obviously there are dramatics, in a lot of them. But yeah, Straight Outta Compton I think was better overall.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was like my main thing because I think I judge music movies upon how they stack up against Straight Outta Compton.
That's the whole point. You want to watch it as a movie at the same exact time.
Exactly.
But and again, you're limited to so much because you're still going off the truth value to, extent you will obviously dramatize certain things.
Well, it's like I said before, like I feel like if they made Straight Outta Compton, not called it Straight Outta Compton, and based it not off of NWA,
could have been just a movie.
It could have just been an incredible movie.
Yeah.
Like insanely good movie.
Yeah. And just like the same thing with Bohemian Rhapsody, it's just kind of like that overdone storyline of just guys rising to stardom and then obviously dealing with hardships. And Rami Malek, it's interesting because I actually watched the show Mr. Robot, which is a really fucking cool show that he's in, and I didn't know him outside of that. Then he got this role, and I was like, oh, that's cool because I just started watching the show, so that was interesting to see. And he did a very well done job. But again, I mean,
he's a good actor.
Yeah, it was a good, like I said, because you haven't seen it yet.
No,
it's still like when I say like anything over a 5, this like I would put that in like that 7-8 category because it's just worth a view and you will enjoy it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I definitely want to watch that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Music news. Today in music news, February 24th, 2020, First thing we have here is Firefly Music Festival's lineup was announced for this year. The festival is coming back to the Woodlands in Dover, Delaware, from June 18th to the 21st. The festival is absolutely stacked. Interesting choice of words. Headliners include Rage Against the Machine, Billie Eilish, Halsey, Blink-182, Khalid, and Maggie Rogers. Now, out of these ones, I can only say that I've ever legitimately listened to Rage Against the Machine and Blink-182. Firefly Music Festival kicks off June 18th, runs into June 21st. The official schedule hasn't been released yet. Official passes went on sale February 3rd. General admission passes start at $299.
Yeah.
And, there's the other member of our podcast here was talking about going to this, and I don't think I could justify spending $299 just to see Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there are some other acts on here. I mean, like Lil Dicky. The band is on here.
David Lee Roth.
The band Camino. I don't know who they are.
You know who the band Camino is?
Do I?
Yeah. I suggest their shit all the time.
So but that's not. They don't appeal.
Yeah, well, yeah, you probably.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just using this as a rationale that it's still not inclusive in the nearly $300 of bands that I would be willing to pay. To
exactly. Diplo,
David Lee Roth.
I wouldn't spend. Connor even tried to use that as like a tactic to get me to go. He's like, David Lee Roth's gonna be there. I said, dude, I saw David Lee Roth in 2015 and he sucked. And I watched live videos of him last week opening for Kiss and he sucked then too.
Cage the Elephant. Noah Cyrus. Space Jesus. And Run the Jewels is pretty decent. But I mean, again, this is really narrowed it down for like our like. I mean, the only bands I could really see me sitting
Glorious Sons,
Group Love, The Struts. These are all just like every band you've ever heard on like 104.5 or 93.3. Yeah.
MMR fucking loves the Struts, dude.
I know, they play them all
fucking
time.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I don't think they're bad or anything.
Like Group Love heavy too.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think they're bad, but I don't go out of my way to listen to them.
Yeah,
they
really
did a pretty decent
appeal.
cover of Dancing in the Street, though.
I bet they did.
Yeah,
of course. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're asking yourself, are you going to spend $300 to go see Rage Against the Machine? And the funny thing about that is, because of their hiatus for as long as it's been, I guarantee you, if they did a demographic of the money spent on these tickets,
Rage Against the Machine would be number one.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
oh yeah. That's why they're billed before. And I guarantee you, there's even people that are huge Billie Eilish fans. They're like, how are they billed before her? How? So sad.
Yeah.
So
well, speaking of which, going into our next topic here in music news, Billie Eilish is the first woman to win all 4 major Grammys in one night.
Yeah.
The 18-year-old was recognized for some of her chart-topping songs from her debut album, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? Well, technically, we don't go anywhere when we go to sleep. Maybe? Is that the answer to that question?
You gotta just like the memes they make of her is just so funny because like some of her lyrics, like, when I'm sad, I cry, and people are like, oh no, that's so deep and innovative. You're so beautiful.
She won 5 out of the 6 awards she was nominated for, taking home wins in the 4 biggest categories, which include Song of the Year, Best New Artist, Album of the Year, and Record. Dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
This is where our music
Christopher Cross was the first person ever to win all 4 awards back in 1981. Who the fuck is Christopher Cross? Now, Eilish is the second person and the first female to win all 4 major Grammy categories in one night. With Cross being 29 the year that he won, Eilish is also the youngest to sweep the 4 awards at age 18.
This is, again, the perfect time.
All right, well, going into actual talent and actual vocal abilities here, the next thing we have in music news is Jerry Cantrell is working on a new solo album. Alice in Chains co-founder Jerry Cantrell is looking forward to a busy year despite his main band taking some time off. Cantrell released 2 solo albums, including a double album, around the turn of the century and has contributed music to films and other artists in the intervening years. Cantrell recently announced a partnership with Gibson Guitars, and in a conversation with Caesar Gulikian, is that, how would you pronounce that? Guikian? Yeah. On Gibson's YouTube channel, he revealed plans to release more solo material before getting back to it with Alice in Chains. He said, we're going to take a year off, so I thought maybe I'll do some shows. I'm working on some new music as well. There's going to be some exciting things. I don't want to say just yet what's happening, but there's going to be some cool shit happening this year. When he was asked about the nature of his new music, he confirmed there will be some acoustic-driven songs and there's some heavy stuff. It's a cool mix of both. How do you feel about the Jerry solo albums like Boggy Depot and Degradation Trip?
They're okay. Them?
Yeah. I like Boggy Depot a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, then again, I'm a huge fucking Alice in Chains fan, so all this shit really appeals to me. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I'm not like, I don't know if you're going to put the words just because it's kind of like an Alice in Chains like related, music in the sake of Jerry Cantrell. Like, I'm a Jerry Cantrell fan, so I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, going back to like when we talk about Lamb of God, like there's certain artists when they release an album, like I'm actually very excited for it.
Yeah,
like I'm definitely going to listen to it. I like his acoustic stuff.
Oh, dude,
I like his
awesome.
slowed down shit. He's actually a very talented musician overall. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked for this.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the last thing here in music news is Leonard Skinner plane crash documentary titled Street Survivors is released. A new documentary film that chronicles the plane crash that killed several members of Leonard Skinner in October of 1977 is set for release. Street Survivors, the true story of the Leonard Skinner plane crash, premiered February 16th in Hollywood. The documentary tells the story of the plane crash from the perspective of former Leonard Skinner drummer Artemis Pyle, who survived the crash and helped pull other members of the band and entourage out of the wreckage afterwards. Pyle consulted with screenwriter and director Jared Kahn on the documentary for historical accuracy, and in a press release announcing the film's released, he says he's pleased with the results. The film's story, my story, is not just about the plane crash, but also about my personal relationship with the genius that was Ronnie Van Zant, who I loved like a brother and still miss to this day.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that. I think, especially in this world, with the whole like the mix of like the Confederate flag and everything that people like knock on.
Yeah.
Leonard Skinner is just one of those bands, man, that we talk about where
undeniable.
Yeah, I mean, like other than the Allman Brothers, there was no real sound that was derivative to that like Southern rock style that wasn't full on country. Like Leonard Skinner's. I mean, because even Allman Brothers were more of like a jam band.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have that direct, like just 3-4 minute long song that's just like hard hitting rock and roll. And like Leonard Skinner's just another unique sound.
Like when you think of Southern rock, you think of Leonard Skinner. It's the first band you think of.
Oh, yeah.
Like honestly.
Yeah.
Like maybe like Mountain.
And just like when we talked again about like going back to like real talented musicians, like these guys, when the documentary that I brought up before, when If I Leave Here Tomorrow, and it's just amazing like hearing about these guys like just recording in this fucking shack. Ronnie Van Zant just sitting down by the water, he hears the fucking instrumentals, boom, lyrics come right to his head.
Yeah.
Natural. Then they're in the recording, and it was all natural talent.
It's just crazy, dude. And like their whole story is like one of like insane folklore. It's kind of like the not exaggerated version of like This Is Spinal Tap,
pretty much,
or like even Almost Famous.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously there was like the plane scene in that movie, but I mean, like it's almost like that. It was like a band that like worked, but there was like tension within it, and it's almost like the plane crash was kind of like this like pivotal moment where it was like, it's either like all or nothing at this point.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, I'm not too familiar with the second era of Leonard Skinner with Johnny Van Zant singing.
Yeah.
I can't say I'm familiar with it, but from the live videos that I've heard and seen of him, singing the older shit, like they're still an incredible band.
Yeah. But it's just a shame though too, because when Stephen Gaines joined the band, and then he was obviously on the album Street Survivors, and he was obviously a part of the crash. Him and his sister, who was a backing vocalist, were among the two between them and Ronnie Van Zant, who died. It was just amazing because, pronounced Leonard Skinner's Second Helping. I forget the name of the third album before Street Survivors, and then Street Survivors comes out, and like you could see they were really on like that consistent. Like they were going to be another one of those bands that were going to continue to put out like consistent music.
Yeah.
And
they had it.
They really did. They just had a very unique tone, a very unique sound.
Yep.
It was a very appealing type of music, especially for like rock and roll in general.
Oh,
and their
100%.
shows, I mean, they fucking blew the Who out of the water twice. I mean,
yeah,
that's you're opening for the Who as like a no-name act, and then boom, you're like people are leaving after they just saw you.
Yeah, exactly. That's just so funny.
Yeah,
it's wild.
But then again, it talks about too, Ronnie Van Zant. It's funny between his band members, there's like a lot of controversy with Ronnie Van Zant, like why he used to drink and the way he used to get, they all used to get fucked up. The one guitarist who left, it was the same way. That was the reason why he left.
Yeah,
he couldn't deal with the personalities in the band. And it's funny because when you think of like artists, right, we know so much. We know so much about their personalities, what we see in the media.
Yeah.
And then some guys could fly under the radar, and you don't really know if it's good or bad to operate with certain musicians.
Yeah, exactly.
And like talking about personality types and things of that nature. And, bring up just to start, I was going to talk like, one of your favorite artists, for instance, Ozzy Osbourne.
Yes.
Ozzy Osbourne gets a lot of flack. Gets a lot of negative attention, especially in the early years for like, the type of music he was putting out. And this coincides with Marilyn Manson. I'm going to kind of run these two together with, you have artists like Ozzy Osbourne with the whole, like, talk about folklore with the whole bat situation.
Yeah, exactly.
The drugs he took, when they did the whole Osbourne show and just made him look very just
strung out, just
nuts. I mean, and it's funny because you don't really get to hear about any of those things. And when his bandmates talk about what it was like to play with him, it was fucking great.
Yeah.
But it's like, again, this is like music that was put out, created like a wave of controversy where it was like satanic. Same thing with Marilyn Manson, where like the Columbine shootings were like blamed on Marilyn Manson.
That was wild.
Yeah.
And then, even at that point too, Eminem even talked about that in multiple songs and even multiple interviews. Like I believe, what's the line in The Way I Am? It's
blame
like,
it on
yeah,
Marilyn.
He's like, when the kid's getting bullied and shoots up the school and they blame it on Marilyn.
And where were the parents?
Yeah,
at?
it's just wild.
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't caught it yet, our topic this week is going to be controversial figures in music.
Yes.
Now, I feel like the whole controversy stirring around Ozzy Osbourne, like in the early days, was like, he was like in the press known as like that crazy guy.
Yep.
Like he was like that crazy guy up until the bat thing. Then he was the crazy guy that bit the head off a fucking bat.
Yep.
Then he was the crazy guy that snorted Nikki Sixx's piss.
Yep.
Or licked it up, or whatever they
snorted
said.
the ants.
Yeah, snorted ants, licked up piss, whatever the dirt said.
Yeah.
I don't know. I believe that was inaccurate. I'm pretty sure he snorted piss.
Yeah, according to the dirt.
Yeah, according to the dirt, because that's such a credible source.
Very, very.
But I think the whole controversial thing about Ozzy was just because he was so unpredictable. Like no one really knew what he could do or what he was going to do. So they started throwing shit out there like, suicide solution. He was the reason why these kids committed suicide. It's like, well, if you actually listen to the fucking song, you would know that's not what it's about, period. Yeah. And then, he's a devil worshiper. And it's like, well, he walks out on stage with a cross.
Yeah.
Like not upside down cross, not, inverted or whatever. He walks out with a legitimate cross on him.
Yeah. And
it's just like, I think what the whole idea was and the controversy surrounding him was just because people didn't know how to take him.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the only thing I can get. They just didn't know how to handle him.
Yeah.
Because he was just known to be like that fucking crazy guy.
Yeah.
But going into crazy guys, we're going to take this to a turn like fucking well past Ozzy's capabilities of crazy. And this is somebody.
Well, before we go into that one, let's start the tone here. I know you're probably going to mention one of my favorite scenes of the punk rock genre, I'm sure.
Yes.
So let's start first, though, with Iggy Pop, right? So Iggy Pop, before he spawned what the next individual we're going to talk about, like Iggy Pop was considered like very provocative and controversial, like throwing peanut butter out in the crowd and cutting himself on stage, and like the same thing with like Sid Vicious and like that whole punk scene and stuff. And as a result of this, we spawn into the late 80s, early 90s, where we're introduced to a man by the name of Jesus Christ Allen, simply known as G.G. Allen. Here's the funny thing about G.G. Allen, right? Let's start first. His music's not that great. Okay.
No.
There's a few good songs that I quite enjoy by G.G. Allen, but overall discography, the man's not winning any awards, put it this way. But G.G. Allen the way I actually found Gigi Allen was my friend when I was about like I want to say 11 years old or so. I was like, yo, you have to see this video of this dude with his little dick out on stage and shitting and eating it and I'm like, no, this is not all happening in one video. So of course we had to make the YouTube account where you had to say you were above the age of 18, which I lied. And we watched this video, and sure enough, there's Gigi with his baby dick and pooping on stage and just, having a blast. And it's funny because Gigi Allen like went on to become like this moniker of like Gigi versus his birth name, which was Jesus Christ Allen, which is super weird.
And then his parents were kind of crazy too, weren't they?
His dad was fucked up. His mom was pretty out there, but she wasn't like, his dad was like totally like a fucking deadbeat, piece of shit. And he really runs this whole scene of like, this is rock and roll. He pretty much was like trying to sound like this is rock and roll, like absolute freedom. You come to my shows, you know what to expect, and people
or not expect.
And like people are getting punched in the face and eating shit, and he's throwing it at people,
shoving bananas up his ass,
smashing bottles on his head, and just all the while full on naked. Gigi Allen, as a result, dies of a drug overdose shortly later.
No,
sorry,
no, come on,
so shocking. Yeah, the man used opioids.
I'll never forget like watching the first videos I've ever seen of him and just going like, what the fuck?
Yeah. But it's again, he was on Jerry Springer and like had this whole like rationale of why he was and acted the way he did. And it's funny because like Gigi Allen's kind of like the polar extreme on taking like music to a different level of expression. Yeah. Right. And then you can also think, and I bring up when like Mike has been on the show, and like if cameras were involved in during times of like the 70s and the 60s and stuff, like how much shit you probably would have actually seen or been a part of. Because one of the most controversial figures outside of Mr. Allen here, I mean, and you want to say in namesake alone and the amount of credibility would be Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have Connor here to fight against us.
Yeah, using this as absolute free time to not necessarily fully defend the man, but give him the credit where it's necessary.
It's it's inevitable that when you talk about Michael Jackson, you're going to talk about the allegations and everything. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you can't take away what he did and his contributions to music. You really can't. Dude, it's like the fucking Dave Chappelle skit.
He made Thriller.
Yeah,
for real. Like that's
it.
Like, sorry, he did something so good that at any point in time, like
it's not going to be eclipsed.
Yeah, it can't be.
Like Michael Jackson could have went on a rampage and like in a mall and just went postal and killed people. Yeah. But he'd still be known for Thriller.
When you put something like a landmark that is Thriller out into the world, into the ether, into the universe that will forever ring in people's ears.
Yeah.
You can't deny something like that. It's like
impossible.
Using him kind of is also same thing with like Eminem.
Yeah.
Like Eminem was highly controversial.
Especially in the early days.
Oh, yeah.
Rapping about beating up his wife and killing his mother.
Yeah, they called it horrorcore. Like his whole genre was like horrorcore. Like they
exactly.
Make it.
It's like in the beginning, dude, I think what the major thing with him was the whole Slim Shady moniker.
Yeah.
That was like that was like the reason he was so controversial. Like you listen to any of the other songs, but the second you get to a Slim Shady song, is when shit gets fucking crazy. Yeah. Like cutting people up with chainsaws and putting his wife in the trunk and
like my dad's going crazy in general, just that
sinking the car with his wife in it, and like, dude, even the song Kim, like that's just crazy. And with the whole I think the whole controversial thing with him is he knows how to get under people's skin. He knows how to like piss people off. And he's able to do it in such a way to where it's like, yeah, I'm doing it, and if you don't fucking like it, then suck my balls. And then he'll turn that into a rap, and everyone will be like, oh yeah, that's great.
It's just so we're gonna have a little poetry time here for some Eminem. Put it this way, Eminem is a pop figure. You could put him as literally, if you want to say in the sense of pop culture, Eminem was literally the shit from like late 90s, like all the way through like the mid 2000s was literally the icon. But it's funny because here's the thing about Eminem. My dad's going crazy off the Eminem show. We're familiar with this song. Just to show you, like, of a mainstream artist. Like, imagine a mainstream artist now. And this song was on the radio. And it was highly edited. Because I remember they made, like, baby noises and squeals and, like, weird noises to edit it. But, like, listen to, the lyrics. Fucking brains, brawn and brass balls. I cut them off. And I got them pickled and bronzed in a glass jar inside of the hall. With my framed autograph sunglasses with Elton John's name on my drag wall. I mean, this was on the radio. Like, and it's funny because, again, there was so much heat for, like, the music that was out at that period of time. But here's the funny thing about, like, with the controversy. A lot of these artists appeal to a younger generation. Yeah. I mean, you could have said, like, Nirvana was controversial. Yeah. You know? And it was just appealing to a generation of people that are tired of listening to the same things, tired of staying in the same lane, tired of like going outside the lines for the sake. And Eminem wasn't doing it for a shock value. Well, that was the best part about it.
He was like controversy on top of controversy too, because remember the whole like he's a homophobe thing, like, and this is like before the whole LGBTQ movement. Yeah, like he was labeled as a homophobe forever. Then he had fucking Elton John come out with him. And you know the whole woman beater thing. And not for nothing, he wasn't doing anything different than any of his predecessors had done before. It was just because
he was in the limelight.
Yeah, because he was so fucking popular.
Easy target.
I mean, just his lyrical concept and content alone is enough to fucking just completely destroy anyone else's career.
But if you think about it too, because he really is like in the same line as like the bands of the 90s that were able to break through to that like absolute creative like individualism and like changing a sound, where Eminem really put it out there, and that like you could be super controversial with your lyrics and still become a top selling artist.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you think about it even goes back to any of the other rap scene where it's like the controversy where it's like a lot of these guys were legitimate drug dealers, legitimate murderers, you know, and they're putting out songs, Tupac. You know, and it's funny because nowadays with like the controversial aspect of it, where you have, you know, like Bobby Shmurda, the dude who went to prison because he literally rapped about a murder in his fucking song. Yeah. You know, it's a little bit different because these guys were out there to understand the loopholes and the style. But it's like, again, when they're putting out music, it's like, do you want your kids to listen to this? Do you want your kids to follow this? Do you want your kids to believe in this? It's the same thing with like YouTube trends now. You know, like I saw this like recent thing where this dude was doing like backflips in front of like oncoming trains.
Oh my
standing
God.
At the platform, like at the edge of the platform. And it's like, but then you spark an idea where people will try that. You know, same thing with music. But again, that's where it's like, it doesn't come down to the artist. It's like more so of who's listening to the artist.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because you're not going to sit there and say like, oh, Biggie created drug dealers. Biggie created murderers. You know, Eminem created woman beaters, and Eminem created, you know, homophones, you could say.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just so crazy. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, music is all to interpretation. And I mean, I guess you get out or you get in whatever you put out, or get out whatever gets put in, or whatever.
You're fucking that all
up. I'm fucking it all up.
Yeah, that was weird.
But you know where I'm going.
I get what you mean.
It's all, you know, it's all up to interpretation and how you take these things. Like, do you really think Ozzy Osbourne bites the head off fucking bats all fucking day? Yeah. Like, do you really think fucking Marilyn Manson really sucks his own dick because he took his fucking 2 bottom ribs out? Yeah. Or, you know, do you really think Eminem fucking puts Kim in the trunk of the car and fucking, like, plays Let's Drown the Bitch?
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, this goes even further in the sense of like when you had like people like Lane Staley, for instance. Like, Lane Staley was just a very dark person, and the whole album Dirt is just sad, depressing. Like,
the whole album is basically about drug use, correct?
Literally. Yeah. You know, but it's funny because, again, it's like you can make these songs if it's in a tasteful way to understand. Like, even like the Velvet Underground. Yeah. The Velvet Underground and Nico was a hated fucking album because it was all about death and drugs. Yeah. And like at that time, like, that was fucking crazy. Like, people weren't making music like that in the 60s, let alone to even become popular, you know? And now it's like people today with artists, because you even have like artists like Lil Wayne. Yeah. Like Lil Wayne and all these different artists who get like this reputation and this style for being popular based on their songs, and it's like they don't really know the individual. And then they get a lot of controversy in the news. I remember even Drake had a huge level of controversy. Millie Bobby Brown,
that whole shit,
where he's like courting like young girls and like befriending young girls.
Now he's with Billie Eilish.
That's what I've heard as well, and now she's 18. So it's like that was the same thing with like Millie Bobby Brown, where it's like, you know, there was always scenes like texting and very personal, and it came out, it's like, oh, it's just friendly. But it's like, we don't know these people.
Exactly.
Like Drake to most people is a very calm-headed, funny, like Post Malone type individual.
Upper middle class individual that got to star on Degrassi.
Yeah. Upper middle class. He's upper middle class, dude.
Well, no. Like when he grew up.
I'm just saying, it's just... Yeah.
He didn't start from the bottom of shit. Maybe from the bottom of the deep end of his pool, his in-ground pool that he had at his home as a child.
Yeah.
Not in the hood.
Yeah, he was the first one in that blue-collar neighborhood to have an in-ground. He was the rich kid in the neighborhood. Yeah.
We're going to go to Drake's house.
Yeah. He has the in-ground pool.
He's got an N64.
When you're pulling in more money than your parents... Yeah. You're still a minor. There's probably something. You're no longer middle class, bud. Not even close.
Mom, Dad, you're still middle class.
But even like I said, with like these newer rappers today, and it's a shame because a lot of the controversy like that's surrounding today is not so much of like what. It's a shame. All right, so like how we mentioned Eminem and like Marilyn Manson and like the music they put out, and like for instance, like a school shooting happens and like, you know, in Columbine, and then everyone wants to blame like because they said the kids listened to Marilyn Manson, we're going to use this as an excuse.
Yeah,
you know, if you think about the level of kids out there today that drink like promethazine or like take Xanax or like get fucked up because of all these like lean drinking, you know, mumble rappers out there that take fucking Xan, they call it like Xans, Xans, you know, I drink my lean and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
it's like think about the amount of kids that you're influencing to act that way, but it doesn't get the same level of attention because Columbine's a little bit different than fucking Bobby over here drinking promethazine.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's fucked up because, you know, it flies so under the radar of like the level of controversy some of these artists like really put out there today that doesn't get the same level of attention because again, it was easier with someone like Eminem.
You know, and it's also crazy too because we didn't even touch it, but even Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
Like
huge.
He was huge.
That was one of like the first, like, you know, the way he danced. Like the super provocative dance style.
And it's funny because you think about it and like, I mean, let's be real. We've all seen the Super Bowl halftime show this year.
Yeah.
Elvis Presley couldn't touch that.
No.
Like, just think about that. Like, think about like how like all these people that we've just talked about. Think about where like the controversial artist had started basically with Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
And look at how everything progressed until now. Elvis Presley was pretty fucking tame at this point.
Pretty fucking tame.
Elvis Presley.
Yeah, Elvis Presley was like a Catholic nun.
Yeah. Elvis Presley then is the equivalent to like the Wiggles now.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty sure the Wiggles move more than fucking Elvis.
Speaking of that Super Bowl halftime show, it is super convenient. You know, and I don't want to beat a dead horse because it's been a little bit after the fact. But, you know, the people that like complained about this, you know, highly and being how, you know, this is a family event and blah, blah, blah. But it's like Adam Levine got to dance around shirtless last year with no qualms whatsoever. It's like people get to pick and choose. And the problem is with social media, it gives everybody a voice, and some people really shouldn't. Like, you can exercise your First Amendment rights. Be my fucking guest.
We do it every Monday.
Absolutely. And I totally highly agree with that. But again, I'm not going on here making stances that are completely hypocritical.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous.
Like, and there's no way to judge the level of consistency if Barber's out there complaining about J-Lo and Shakira, but did Barber complain last year about Adam Levine?
Well, Barber's just mad because she can't shake her ass like them.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's fucking Barber's problem.
Yeah,
Barber
some like 50-year-old like middle-class woman that is like, Jesus Christ, looking at J-Lo at 50 and Shakira at 43.
Barber can go suck a dick.
And Barber just hasn't made dinner yet. She's just behind schedule and upset.
Yeah, she's just mad because her husband was watching.
Her husband's out there watching while she's keeping the roast beef hop. Yeah.
Honey, when are you going to learn how to do this?
Honey, grab me another bud. It's going to be a long one.
Yo, honey, dooley.
But seriously, it's funny because people get to pick and choose, man. And it's just, you know, it was easier back in the day because think about how much has been done. Like when you mentioned Elvis specifically, think about how much has been done now that people are just okay with. Like it's even movies, like how gory movies have become. Some of these movies, if you try to show them back in like 1960,
holy shit,
NC said like banned in all countries, like it'd be nuts.
Like, could you imagine if like Evil Dead came out in like the 60s?
Well, yeah,
you know, that movie's pretty fucking gory.
Yeah,
or like I don't know, let's pull something like even goofier.
Just
like,
picture this. Rob Zombie's remake of the Halloween, right?
Oh, shit.
Let's say that one came out in the 70s and not
Instead
the
of
original, instead of John Carpenter's.
Holy shit,
That guy would be banned all over the place.
Yeah.
People probably be like
Banned
arrested
all over the
for like
place.
snuff movie like type attitude. You know what I mean? Like it'd just be so fucking profound. And now it's like it's grown where that's why the
It's
Super
just
Bowl halftime show is
desensitivity.
Yeah. This desensitizing that's been going on.
Desensitizing.
Yeah. But it's
pretty much what it
like
is.
that Super Bowl halftime show.
There's
Like,
nothing
are
wrong
you
with that.
fucking kidding me? Where it's like
What about
like
when
like your 12-year-old probably sitting there watching. You telling me your 12-year-old doesn't have a cell phone? You don't think he's scrolling on Pornhub when he ain't looking, Barbara? Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, all right, Barbara, what about when you thought it was awesome when Justin Timberlake was there and ripped fucking
Exactly.
Janet Jackson's titty out?
Yeah.
Like, what about that?
Yeah.
Was that a problem then?
I bet it was probably a problem for Barbara. then.
Yeah, I bet it was a giant problem.
It was
But
pretty much a problem for almost everybody.
yeah.
I mean, debatable in personality takes, but at the same time, for the network's opinion.
But compared to Shakira and J-Lo.
Yeah. And I don't want to get
And
political
hold on,
at all, but
let's just say this right here. They had like 3 costume changes each.
yeah.
Like that, I mean, that takes some talent.
Yeah.
Like that's some serious shit.
Yeah.
And they're gonna fucking get on there and talk some bullshit.
Yeah.
I want to see you change your clothes in fucking 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Skin tight fucking bodysuits and shit.
Yeah. It's like that is a prime example when you say like the evolution of like desensitizing the masses, where it's, you pick and choose what you're going to be upset about. Because if you're telling me that Super Bowl halftime show was so controversial to the extent that you could have an issue with it, but everything else, they're on like the news, like the shit they talk about on the news is like more controversial than that show in general.
It's just stupid.
Yeah,
but yeah, that about wraps it up. I mean, I guess to an extent here, I feel like, desensitizing like took place and it kind of made shit more okay. And now I feel like we're kind of working in reverse.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we got up to a point where, I mean, I'm not going to say Gigi Allen at any point was ever acceptable.
Yeah, I don't even think Gigi Allen will go over today.
No,
I don't think that would be a level of desensitizing where it's just acceptable to like have Gigi Allen selling out Madison Square Garden. Don't think that's possible.
Could you imagine just like
one night only?
Yeah, one night only.
MSG. Gigi and the Jabbers.
There's just like a fucking like box above the whole stadium,
Jesus.
and she's like clicks in, just shit,
Diarrhea.
just diarrhea just comes out.
Yeah.
Oh God. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like with the way that social media is, like you were saying earlier and stuff, I just feel like we're almost working in reverse because everyone has such an opinion now, and everyone has fucking feelings.
Just the availability.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you're looking for real deal, honest shit, you're already here. You're already listening to this podcast. Follow us. We'll lead you into the right direction. Let's desensitize everything.
We're the Illuminati.
We can say that because our co-host isn't here.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I just feel like the desensitizing and everything, I just feel like that's just a major component to how all this shit is like okay now, and like how it's a kind of a joke. But it's like we just said, I feel like we're working in reverse because of all the social medias and people being able to have opinions. And all
it's also again
bullshit.
like going back to like the Eminem, it's an easy target.
Yeah, exactly.
It was on a national stage.
Mm-hmm.
Many people saw it.
And not for nothing. I mean, I'm just gonna say it here on the air because I don't think I've ever said it here. When are we going to get Metallica to play a halftime fucking Super Bowl show?
Jesus Christ. By the time Robert Trujillo is the only existing member.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Dude, come on. Like, you think about it, like Aerosmith and The Who, fucking Madonna, whatever, Prince.
Speaking of Prince, that was probably the last real good halftime show.
I agree.
Yeah, that was an excellent halftime show.
Like, when are we going to get Metallica? Like, dude, they put on a fucking good-ass halftime show.
I would even like Pearl Jam up there, to be honest with you.
Pearl Jam would be good.
Yeah.
Just, like, I don't know, someone that appeals to
Watch.
us.
Let's see what happens next year. After this shit that just happened, they're probably going to try to steer away just for the sake of being, depending
Leonard
on
Skinner.
obviously what happens in the world. Yeah, Leonard Skinner reunion.
Skinner playing the halftime
Oh,
show.
Jesus Christ. I don't even know how I would feel about that. I mean, it'd be cool, but
yeah, I mean,
Skinner.
well, because I think we're like running out of like, no, they'll probably do some stupid shit
Foo
like
Fighters,
the Police or something.
Pearl Jam. Oh yeah, those like classic bands.
Mhm. They're probably gonna go classic route,
Jesus
unless Foo
Christ.
Fighters puts out another album.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Pearl Jam would make the cut. New album coming out. Let's just throw Lamb of God up there.
That would be fucking
That would
awesome,
fire everybody
dude.
up.
Are you kidding? That'd be fucking sweet.
Be firing everybody up. Oh shit.
Last week, we suggested for you guys to watch the documentary Sample This. This movie, or documentary rather, it chronicles the song Apache by the Bongo Band. I forget what the actual name of them is, but yeah, this song has been referred to as the most sampled song like of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Like the dun 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 dun, jump on it. Yeah. And I'm not even gonna lie, I didn't watch most of it. I made it like 30 minutes in, I had to shut it off.
Yeah.
It was just too like around, and like there just like wasn't like a flow at all. Like it starts off with Robert Kennedy getting assassinated. And it's just like, what does this have to do with the fucking song? It's like, oh, well, then the guy that was the brother of the sister-in-law to the stepsister of his bodyguard decided he wanted to do music. And it's like, what?
All right, so you know what we'll do here? We're going to make this movie a non-applicable. First time on Rage Against the Mainstream.
Yeah.
We don't even have enough insight to be able to review this movie for you guys because it just wasn't worth that much time.
Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 93%. The audience score gave it a 63.
Which is ironic.
Yeah.
You know, but...
IMDb gave it a 6.4 out of 10.
Yeah.
RogerEbert.com. Odie Henderson says, for a documentary filled with such joyous, danceable beats, there's still a note of sadness playing through Sample This. And Mark Jenkins from the Washington Post says, this movie provides a vivid sense of the period as well as some intriguing backstage look at the making of improbable pop classics. Like I said, I couldn't make it through about a half hour. So yeah, this is going to be a non-applicable. Like I said, I don't like to give things like bad reviews.
That's what I'm saying. We're gonna give it a NA.
NA. This will be the first time.
Be first time here.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to give it a watch, I mean, I like to think that I have a pretty good like fucking like tolerance for bullshit, and this just didn't. Like this broke my threshold.
Jesus Christ!
Like on my bullshit-o-meter, this broke the gauge.
This broke the gauge. A little truth tree moment.
The truth tree moment. I fucking didn't like this at all. Okay. And like the people they had in it, like to do interviews and shit, like Questlove was in it and shit.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I was like, man, this is gonna be fucking good.
Yeah.
Like I'm excited.
I think Questlove's actually on the like cover, like when you go to click on it. Yeah, and it was an appealing pick. Yeah.
Like I was just like, man, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
And I know this song too. This is gonna be great.
Yeah.
And it's just like 30 minutes in, like and it was 2 hours long. Like, dude, maybe I could have went like an hour and like seen if it was any good.
Yeah,
but I think from all the shit that we have done so far, like if it's not good within the first 30 minutes,
we've done some pretty
it's
bad
fucking
movies. Yeah, like 27 Gone Too Soon was super fucking bland and generic. But Devil at the Crossroads. I suffered through the whole thing. Yeah,
like we're to the point now. We're going to be raging against the mainstream on this fucking shit. If it isn't good within the first 30 minutes, we're done. Yeah. We're not even going to fucking play games. Connor will probably be happy to hear that.
Thank God.
But, yeah, do you have any,
suggestion of the week?
So, because we talked about it earlier with Lamb of God, I'm actually going to recommend that last release with Chris Adler, which is the cover album Legion XX under the moniker Burn the Priest.
Nice.
Lamb of God's original, name before they realized that that's not as appealing commercially. Burn the Priest. The song I'm recommending though is because it's all a cover album is track 2, which is the Melvins cover of Honey Bucket.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fucking sick.
This week I'm going to suggest the Anthrax classic off the album State of Euphoria, Antisocial.
That's really fucking weird, dude, because I said to myself, if we were going to record 2 episodes, that's literally what my pick was going to be. Literally what was my
dude,
pick.
I was fucking around on Spotify and I was listening to Children of Bodom's fucking Skeletons in the Closet, and obviously they did Antisocial, and it was good, and I was like, I want to listen to Anthrax one, and then I got into it, and I was like,
State
here
of
we go.
Euphoria is probably debatably my favorite album by them.
Yeah, dude.
It's so good. Like, Among the Living's very good, but State of Euphoria, like, be all, end all.
Oh, fuck
so
yeah,
good.
dude.
Be all. So good.
This week, we're going to suggest for you guys to watch the Luis Valdez classic, La Bamba. Basically, this is, like, I guess you can kind of consider this like one of the first biopics.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, this is biopic that follows around Richie Valens, basically from, like, his start as, you know, like a teenager working in the fields in, I believe it's Texas or Southern California, I believe. I'm not sure. But it goes from this all the way until his untimely death at, I forget what age he was, but he was still a teenager. He had only been popular for like 8 months before his death.
Yeah, the day the music died.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely something to check out. An extremely good film. And this is definitely something we're going to get into in depth and not just give it an NA because we couldn't make it through 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that about wraps it up for this week. This is Rage Against the Mainstream signing off. I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
Have a good night, guys. Thanks for listening.